So I just type out a few things for us to expect. Welcome back to week 3 now, out of 10 weeks, Monday. This is our first day of the week, and for first day it's a little different, is that normally we will actually review, just highlight best assignment 2 submissions. Thank you for those who submitted and for those who are still working on it. I understand that it depends on some lab work and stuff, so we're still doing our best to help those who start out a little later to finish. So do reach out to us, okay? And there are days when I'm happy to give a lecture here, and some other people can catch up in a separate group, and then after that I can go and give a review lecture that would be more useful. Please keep that in mind. When you guys need to review any topic, do let me know. Okay, so each of us should only need about 1 to 2 hours of lecture a day, and if on certain days I'm going fast in the morning, then I move some of those who need some review so I can give a separate lecture. At the end of the day, a lot of the content will be again on YouTube and Quip anyway. But do reach out more, guys, ask questions. This week is quite special too. We're going to do something similar to week 1, which is just learning a language. So this week's actually JavaScript basics. And I gave you guys a little warning that it's really wacky, like it's just a little fun and strange at the same time. But it's the most powerful language to learn now on the planet because the web is everywhere. Web applications are everywhere, and now that there's React Native and that uses JavaScript as well, so for mobile you use JavaScript, so you cannot run away from it. The good news is that there's a lot of updates to JavaScript, so it's now powerful and clean. Except all the ugly and old stuff is still there. It doesn't prevent you from making disastrous mistakes. And with that, then of course we'll do lab 3.1. I'm sorry, I go back and forth between -1 and .1. I didn't like the .1 in the file name because on some Windows computer it will just get rid of the point something. So I asked you guys to create folder name like lab 3.1 -1 like that. But when we use the document name, it just reads a lot better when it's like .1. So in the future, I hope to have a better convention. I hope you forgive me that I go back to the .1 in the Quip. But in my directory structure, I still do something like this. I do dash. Okay. All right. So with this order, I'm going to review the homework. Let's see. Does anyone not know how to submit the homework? So let us know. Yeah, it's still tricky. So let me explain it one more time. In each week, you have the assignment stuff here, and there's a submit button, right? And this week we don't have the instruction, but in week 1 you can see that there's a GIF showing. If you click on it, then this is how to submit it. The tricky thing is the GIF. We do ask for it because it's something that if you just make a minute, spend a few minutes to plan what you want to show in the GIF, and the GIF can be just like 10 seconds, 20 seconds, or a minute or 5 minutes, up to you. And then you just it's very nice to show the world what you built. So for example, this is a 10-second GIF that show what this homework can be done. And normally the way to do any assignment is copy the README file and then check things off as you finish them. the submit form, I'm gonna have to fix this portal to make it better. You can actually upload a YouTube video if you like. The problem is if it's a YouTube video, let's say YouTube, see if I can get any, for example, anything like this. You can get rid of the warning by maybe just like add anything randomly like that, and then .gif. So in the URL, if you put this ampersand thing or the question mark, the first thing is a question mark. Then everything comes out after that is a URL parameter, and then you separate the URL parameter with an ampersand. So this is like a trick the tool to require GIF. We used to require GIF for everything until people just, it's too hard to plan for a 10-second GIF, 20-second GIF. So some people need more time. I was like, okay, don't think about it. Just show us what you have. Then the video can be a little long. So they put on YouTube. Do you know that you can also drag the file there? So you can also upload by dragging the file and dropping in this field, and it will just automatically upload to Imager. Imager.com. So that's it. And then submit. Put the number of hours. It's just how much you can track it. In our programming world, tracking the number of hours we work on something is a very common thing to do. If you do freelancing, or it's really helpful to just know how much time you spend on things. And we also want to know so we can give some suggestions. Okay, so I wanted to highlight some good submissions. Give me a second here. So I have Oscar's submission here. I think it's really beautiful. On my screen, the orange color looks a little funny. So let me close flux. See, maybe it's better. And also GIF reduced the color, so it looks a bit funny. But
I uploaded it on Heroku if you want.
Yeah, that's great. So you could put the Heroku URL here.
It's ducklist.heroku.
Okay, awesome. I love the duck what list?
Yeah.
Herokuapp.com. Great. Well, you see the GIF is really helpful. Did you use Cloud App? Yeah, okay. So Cloud App, a free account is like 10 seconds, and then if you have the trial or anything, it gives you a minute. So guys, can you guys see what are the features that we see on this GIF? Could you just name me some features, Stan?
It's got a search bar up top.
Yeah, the search thing, that's pretty neat.
It's got that add task, I guess you would call it.
Add task at the bottom, yeah. Anything else? So the check and the cross there, is it to filter? So when you check, then the done things at the bottom, right? And then the cross is the done things the undone is at the bottom. But this is really beautiful, right? Like it's more features than the one the demo app that I showed. So yeah, I think this is pretty awesome.
Then I added delete as well.
Oh yeah, the trash can here, the delete. It's pretty neat. Yeah. So at the end of the day, it's this one form, and if you organize your code cleanly, the logic takes care of itself quite well. If I may very quickly look into the code. Okay, so you see he has an app.rb, and then there's an item class and a list class. Okay, but let's say app.rb, there's a get slash, so this HTTP slash page that just filter things. This is just displaying information, but it can handle when you are sorting something or when you are searching for something. Then he has a submit page. This is just when you are creating a new task. Creating a new task here. So that's one form down here. And there's a whole big form, I believe. And that big form is update all. And in this update all, he has a method in the in the list object, right? That convert the params items into the an array of hashes to an array of item object. But normally there are three things you do in each of these, what you call the route. You get used to them more and more. But the first thing is that normally you load something up, and then you do something to the data, right? You use the params. So this is the step 2. Step 1 is load something up, like load from file. List.new today means his list.rb file looks into todo.md and load all the items, right? And then he just replaces the items from the form, submitted form. So this is step 2. Normally you check the params and then you decide what to do about the data. And then step 3 is just whether you are displaying an HTML file or you redirect to another page. In this case, it's redirect back to the previous page. Okay? The reason why Oscar uses redirect here is because he has a few URL actually. You guys notice he may go to, do you use the other URL here? I don't see that.
That's show done. If you click
I see. So let's say if you filter only done, right, and then you still mark something, he's using redirect back because sometimes it's the done page, sometimes the other page. Okay? No, feel free to ask questions along the way. Obviously, I don't expect you to understand everything that you see here. So it could be useful when you watch it again, or we can learn from reading people's code. Now, I have a suggestion. For example, these two pages are almost similar, so you could refactor this page to be smarter than this, and I can show you how. Is to use the dynamic URL. And maybe I just mention it. I don't expect you guys to remember much, but this is not hard. So for example, what Oscar is doing is showing done like that, and there's another view for only done, right? And then undone. So only view and only undone, right? So the naming here is not consistent, right? Maybe only view, only undone. But you could, instead of these two things, the only difference that he has is to use this status. What's that? Undone here, and then done here. Okay? So here, check this out. This will be useful for a lot of us. I don't know if I can make this smaller. I can't. This whip is okay. It's not smaller. Let's keep it this big then. So my suggestion is, in here you basically use the done thing, and in status in here you use the undone thing. So my suggestion is you can actually have a page, just define something that calls only. Okay, so get only. You don't need the beginning slash. It's optional, so just get rid of it. Only, and then here you can say only status. So when you have colon something there, does anyone know what will give what you will get? It will go into your params. So this will mean you can get param status, and it means your whole code here could be used, right? Your whole code here could be used as status is param status. Right? It means this one will accept the route. Let's say you can visit only done, and you can also visit only undone. So only something, right? Remember last time I showed in class, we can build something that is like about me, about go to school, about something, and that's a parem's name. So you can make the URL speak to you, and it's dynamic. Okay, and then this is the status. So any string that comes only after only will go into parems. So just seeing it as it does it make sense when I read it, right? I encourage you just to see that we read code every day. There's always something weird that come up, but here just focus on the parem status stuff. Some of you may not understand the selecting yet, but for an item, if anything in here returns true, then I will get that item. But anything that returns false, then I ignore it. So he has a smaller list of items here, and he displays them.
One question.
Yeah.
On the input on the form where I still try to go to only done.
Mm-hmm.
I could just link directly to only done/done.
Correct.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't need to put in any special.
Yeah.
It's automatically gonna take anything after that slash.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's very dynamic. So you can get rid of this code and replace with this one method. So it feels very clean. Obviously, you can put a check here. For example, if parem status is not done, and parem status is not undone, then you can tell the user, you can return here, you can return that request. Just say something like that, right? If it's the last line of code, it returns, or you can say return that request, then the code will stop right there. If the user go to only visit only all, for example, is not recognized, the code will run here and get in here, and it will stop and print out the string bad request to the user immediately. So this is very nice that you are handling the error case right at the top, and it's very easy to see. This is checking if the input is correct or not. And then the rest of the function, the block, you handle the more complicated logic, right? If someone submit a credit card information, you can say if the numbers are correct, then you throw out an error. But if everything seems good, then you proceed. This happens a lot. If someone sign up, you ask for password and password confirmation. You can say if password and password confirmation are not the same, then you immediately say, hey, look, there's an error, bad request. Does that sound good? All right, so that's one example. I hope that as we build things, just make a little. We all are encouraged to make things a little pretty, like this, and then it's just really awesome to look back and to show that you can you build your website and say this is what I can do in 1 week. This is what I can do in 2 weeks. So I have another one. So this is Ian's submission, and it's also cool. He worked on optional features as well, and then this GIF also demo a few the features that are available. There's a little bit of a syntax problem here, so I'll just show you guys how Markdown works. This is the README file. For any project, the Markdown file will get displayed. The README file will get displayed. Right? In this case, it's a Markdown file. Okay, automatically rendered. But if you click on this README, it also render like that. But here's the raw format. All right. So what Ian did was that he put an image tag here. Markdown accepts this image tag as well. Okay. But Markdown provides you this syntax. That is, if you put an exclamation mark with a square here it means like this is the name of the image, and then this is the path to the image. So Ian, you don't need these things over here, and you don't need these things over here, right? And where is this file? Ruby.gif is in the same folder as the README file. So that's cool. You just find it, right? That's how you display it. So Ian, you can go in and just delete this extra code, yeah? Cool. And you can delete that easily by going into the README file and click edit. You can even edit it right here on GitHub. Make sure you pull the code afterwards. Okay? Just suggestion, Ian, when you already styling the button, done and undone, you know, you have two types of button already. Some of this button down here, make them follow the same style. Try to be consistent. Okay? Yeah? And padding here. So little things here you think is not important, but if you just add it and it's go in the center, everything will look a lot more beautiful. Come again? Say again?
I have not touched the style yet.
So you have done and done, yeah, not touch it. So when you build anything, it's just a little polish. It may seem, oh, you know, it's not important, but it's these little things that helps. And look, you already put your windows and the app, you already have a very good GIF that is like within 5 seconds. Everyone knows what you're doing. So it's a very good GIF. So it's just extra things that don't ignore the styling. So CSS takes practice. You guys should practice CSS every week. Not wait until 10 weeks later and say, now I'm going to learn CSS. It's not, you know, like that, because we need to just do a little bit every day and get better. Okay, so I'm going to do something which is reviewing this homework as well. So for those who have done it, have not done it, part of it can help you. For those who have done it, I think it will help you a lot in terms of learning how to fix common problems people have. So if I can I use your homework to do some quick fixes? Okay. So you did not submit a GIF, right? Oh, there's nothing terrible here. That's good work. And I do want a README file as well. All right, but I want to point out a few common mistakes that we can all learn from, so that the code is cleaner and it's easier to troubleshoot. Okay. So I could, I just cloned this project. So how do I normally, you know, let's say work together with someone else? I go into this page and I click clone, copy this, and I type git clone, right? And I go there. Right, in this case, assignment, so there's a typo right here. But it's okay, and then I'm gonna take a look at the, the code. All right, so first I noticed that you have a to-do and a list and an item, and I did notice that we had some question about the to-do.rb. Okay, so assignment 1, we have to-do.rb because we did not have app.rb. So to-do is like the program that talks to the user. So technically you don't need to-do. You guys have this from the assignment 1, but technically there's no need for to-do. The list can take care of it. Okay, so you can keep things a little simpler. So here, instead of the list, just item something, you can make the list take the file name and have the list read the data and put in items instead. Okay, so no need to have 3 classes. One important thing to do is please don't name your file in capital letter like this. So please change to small, lowercase. Okay, that's the convention we all follow. Please file name lowercase, except for the word gem file here. Is that all clear to us? Now then I'm gonna take a look at app.rb, and now by now you guys see that these two lines exist in your main program. It just requires Sinatra, right? This line requires stuff in gem file. Okay, just a reminder there. Required relative, yeah, so everything is lowercase, right? Even though when you go into that file, the class name is uppercase. So, you know, this is uppercase. That is correct, but when you require relative is lowercase. So, do you have any question about this one? Require many files? So you can just require like that. Put what to the string? No. Why? You have to change your file. So first, I think you have a question about requiring multiple files. So just do require like this. Is that okay? All right. And I think you have another question is now for any issues you have, everyone please try to post questions on Slack. I really hope there's at least one, a few questions a day on the questions channel. Please don't, feel discouraged, not post stuff. So I think your question is about array versus string, right? So what is the No, you can. It's up to you. Right. Can you give me an example? Can you give me an example down here? Somewhere? No, but this is your code. Do you have an example? Okay, that's fine. All right. So string for example, there's a question about string. Anything is at the last line of a method, it has to be a string, so ERB return a string because it just look into the template file. It look into this HTML.rb ERB file and then just return the whole long string, right? Okay. And then of course, unless you do redirect, then you just go and redirect to a different page. So, I don't know, I don't see this list A. Normally, you probably don't want to define anything outside. It just get and post, get and post. These are just routes. And I want you guys to just use the local variables inside the block. Right? Did you intend to use this somewhere? Okay, sure. Now, app.rb is just one file, right? You can test using many things. So, for example, nothing prevents you from running Ruby to do.rb separately, right? And then you run it. You can create app1.rb or like apptest.rb and then create another simple require Sinatra and then just do another simple thing. If you just do test. No, because yeah, so converting to, I think it will be okay for you to convert that. You just do .each and you just change from a hash to a list of object. I think Oscar know that one because Oscar was trying to do that and then he did that with that method. Yeah. What is the duck? Here.
Oh, the hash to object.
Right. So I give you an example. So Oscar has a method called hash to object. So this is a hash, this is an item hash, and then he just say, well, this is an array of hashes. So you have params items, it's an array of hashes. So what he's doing is that he's taking these items, list of hashes, and go into each one of them, and just convert the hash into the item. This is how you get the key, this is the value, right, in the hash, and then you convert that into an item, right? And then for each one of them, you add back to the list. And there's an add method. Okay? So I talk about 10 different things when I review this, but you know, I hope each person just take a couple of things away. You don't have to, you know, worry about 10 different things. So any question about homework? Still?
I have one where I try to create another list. So first I think I need to create another data file. This compared with the initialized to do. So it's really just one file. I don't know what the new file is. So what should I decide to do first? Create a database first or create a class first?
It's the data file, it's up to you, no? I'm sorry, I don't really understand. Maybe I can pull out, I'll give you guys the model code. And this is something that you will use to continue and finish your assignment 3. So like put everyone sort of on the same page. You can use your own, but if you use my version, then it has the sort of the clean code that hopefully helps some of you. So your question is, when you load a list from a file,
So in the to-do, initialized to-do,
yeah?
I need to load the file there.
Yeah, so remember, assignment 1, you load the file from todo.rb. Assignment 2, there's no need to load from todo.rb. You can move it into the list. I believe I have that in the lab, but it's all hashes. It's in one of the lab exercises to load it from list.rb. I believe I have it in lab 2.4 or something. So, this is how I load the items. I think Oscar does something similar. All right, and then Ian, can you take a look? When I say list.new, if I don't pass anything, it automatically loads from that file, right? Yeah. So then in you see I don't need a todo.rb file, and there's nothing much really. I just need to add an item, and I need to change it from done or not done, an item, and I save. That's it. So app.rb, for example, when you go to the list, look at my list, right? It's really short. Just you can get to do here. I handle sorting inside list, but you don't have to. You can sort the list items outside. That's what Oscar did. I showed in the screen earlier. So, but the idea here is list.new, right? Well, in this case, for example, see, it still loads from the file if needed.
But later, when I need to change a list name, for example,
Uh-huh.
so I need to add a list name to the database to proceed it. So when I load the list file, a new list from it, I need to add more parameter to the list. Because of it,
You want to load from a different file? Yeah, here. Why not, like, you can even have a trash.md.
about something list name.
List name, like, for example, today, this month, or something, right? .md, right? Nothing prevents you from having more.
You define the list, like the name of the file. I think in list we define that that's going to be the name of the list. So the list name is automatically generated
Yeah.
from the name of the file.
because I read it from the Google. So
Yeah, no, I mean, look, we only have one list for our homework. Still, very good question, right? For this homework, I focus on doing one list very well. And so if you look at my index page, I don't bother changing the word. I know it's always called today, and I name my app Torello. Why do I care? That's not the most important part of my app. I just, I can change it later. And in fact, this week you have to do multiple lists. Okay? And by now, I encourage you guys to practice this, right? Layout is a template that has the word yield in it. So use layout, use CSS, and start using JavaScript, especially no choice. This week, you will start using JavaScript. Then in this yield, then now your index file, they're all very simple, right? Just what you need for the app, the visible part of the HTML. Yeah. And for things that you repeat in each block, then we call them the partial, or just another template inside a template.
how can I send a variable from a post to the internet?
Send a variable from a form?
The post method.
Yeah, sure. So, good question. In these cases, you see that we tend to do redirect back. So when you redirect, there's nothing to send already, right? When you redirect, it just go and visit this page. So we'll start this, okay? If you don't want to redirect, you can render ERB, okay? Then you just send the variable the same way. You send them over locals. Now, if you try this and it doesn't work, it's because your list is not correct, or your items are not prepared. Then you may have to run the same code to make sure that you load it properly. So sometimes we find that if we don't redirect, we're writing the same code. You see what I'm saying? So let's say a user log into Facebook, okay? Do you notice that after you log in, Facebook redirects you to the home page? It's so that the home page takes care of rendering all the friends post for you. If you don't redirect, you render it, then post user sign in, let's say /user/sign in, and that page has to render all your friends posts. Then it has to run the same code. That's not good. Does that answer your question, Ian? So I don't advise this, right? Sometimes it's okay, but I feel like I have the logic. For example, if I have my sorting here, all this sorting, I definitely want to just redirect. So you see that, and even better, what if I want to name this index page to home, right? I don't want to go into each of these things and then name it to home. The logic is the same, right? So if I redirect, it's useful because if I ever change this page to anything else, home, or even like, maybe there's another folder before that, like user/index. It's different from guest/index, but your application get more complicated. You only change in one place. Why do you change, in different places?
My case is like this way, I try to create a list, and you can send the params from the index to the post chains. I need to get that params and send it back to HTML to create a new list there. So if I change it to redirect it, then the param disappear.
Okay, no, there is some concern. So in this case, I can try to explain that to you. First, I don't know why you keep talking about creating more than one list. That's not in the task. It's in the advanced one, right? Okay. Now, when you create that, you should create a list here. You should not go to another page. Redirect is a GET request. You should not redirect anywhere else that make changes to the data. Does that make sense? You should not redirect to another page that make changes. So if I submit a blog post, it should create the blog post and then redirect. It should not redirect to somewhere else and then create the blog post, right? Yes, when your application gets complicated, you are tempted to pass in some extra information. You can say redirect to this thing, and then you can pass in some params too. But it's very rare that you need that now. Okay, so before you work on that multiple listing for homework, my suggestion is to polish your app first. Like the sorting feature was more important, and the CSS was more important. It's cool though that you check out the multiple list. So does it make sense? All right. So we will handle multiple lists this week, and then but before we get to do that, I will demo the the Trello thing again. We'll try to do very similar to Trello. 1 second here. You guys see that by now you guys can drag and drop here. You can use JavaScript to tilt this to make it look sexier than the one we have right now. And then you can drag from something to another list, right? Or you can click on something here and then it create a form. Or you can create a new list here. See, there's another list. So with this week, it will be possible for you to do all of this. And technically, next week, when we get to database, you could click on a card, and then a card can have a lot more information. Yeah.
So the tunnel list, do you need to use an event listener whenever like an action happens? Say the Jack's request to save the list.
Yes. So if we're looking into the lab, there's asynchronous JavaScript. So after you drag and drop, there is a method. So let's say here, after you update the list, you can actually put some. That's what I use here. For example, I say, hey, when you save, let's say, what I do here is, that's my app, Trello. I'll give you guys an example. This should just be add class instead of toggle class. Remove class. Here's an example. Do you guys see there's no save button? Because it has a hidden class. There's a hidden class in my list. Here, right? You guys see the hidden class? So the hidden class has a display none here, but if you remove the class name, then the button is visible. Okay?
I tried to do it. I could get it to disappear, but I couldn't get it to appear again.
Right. So you say that the way to do it is to read into documentation, so you can actually listen to this event. So JavaScript is quite incredible. So you see that I write a message here, right? Today we'll learn this JavaScript stuff. So if I drag something, see this? I stop it, it execute that, and it also add the class, remove the hidden class, and then this button is visible again. Does that answer your question?
So like instead of having this console log and showing the button, you could just call those.
You can tell the page to submit, yeah. And you can submit it in the background or just in the foreground. At this point, it doesn't matter. You see how we submit it in the foreground and this is still very fast anyway? Why care about background so much, right? Okay? That's homework. For those of you who are still working on it, this is pretty much the frame of it. I encourage you to really do it as soon as you can and get help if needed. Because this week I give you this starter code, and then you can add some stuff so that we can take it from this one list to this multiple list. All right? So we're able to clone, more and more of Trello if we like. So
It's $1 billion company, man.
That's right. It's too late. They already became billion first. So if you clone now, uh, you know, no one pays attention anymore. I guess, but who knows? We will convert it to a Vietnamese Trello, and then get get 80 million Vietnamese users, and we can probably get acquired. Cool. So that's just homework reviews. Let's take a quick break, and then I'll get to JavaScript.